There is a war happening right now. It's not a war you see on the news, not a battle fought on distant fields with weapons and armies. It is a silent, invisible war that happens every day, at every moment, inside every cell of your body, inside every thought that crosses your mind. And the worst part is that most people don't even know this war exists. They live their entire lives believing that obstacles are out there, that enemies wear other faces, other names, other masks. But I need to tell you a truth that will shake the very foundations of what you believe. Your greatest enemy, the one who sabotages you the most, who holds you back the most, who prevents you the most from becoming everything you are capable of being, lives within you. Stop for a second. Take a deep breath. Because what I'm about to share with you now is not just a nice motivational speech to make you feel good for a few minutes before you go back to the same old life. This is a call to the war that truly matters. The battle against yourself. The voice that whispers defeat. Have you ever noticed that there's a voice inside your head that shows up right when you're about to take an important step? That voice that whispers, "You're not capable. This isn't for you. Who do you think you are to achieve this? Better give up now before you get disappointed." That voice didn't come from outside. It's not your boss, not your neighbor, not that envious coworker. That voice is yours. It lives inside you, feeds on your fears, and grows every time you choose to listen to it instead of silencing it. That voice has different names. Some call it fear, others call it doubt. Some call it imposter syndrome, procrastination, laziness, insecurity. But deep down, all these names point to the same thing: an inner enemy built up over years, through experiences, through traumas, through words other people said that you internalized as absolute truths. And here's the crucial point you need to understand right now. As long as you keep believing your problems are external, you will keep looking for external solutions. You'll change jobs thinking it will fix things. You'll change cities thinking it will fix things. You'll change partners, gyms, diets, courses, mentors, thinking the change of scenery will erase what's stuck inside your chest. But the truth, as hard as it is that you can move to another continent and still carry the same enemy with you, because it isn't in the place where you are. It is in who you are. The comfort zone. The most comfortable prison in the world. Let me tell you about the most dangerous prison that exists. It has no iron bars. It has no concrete walls. It has no armed guards watching the door. This prison has a soft couch, food in the fridge, your favorite show on TV, and the reassuring certainty that tomorrow will be just like today. This prison is called the comfort zone, and it is so seductive, so pleasant, so welcoming, that most people don't even realize they're trapped. They think they're resting. They think they're being realistic. They think they're just waiting for the right moment. But I ask you, how many dreams have already died inside that comfort zone? How many brilliant ideas did you have and never put into practice because it was easier to stay where you were? How many times did you say, "I'll start tomorrow," and that tomorrow never came because today always turns into another today? Your inner enemy loves the comfort zone. That's where it builds its headquarters, because as long as you're comfortable, you won't grow. Growth hurts. Growth demands discomfort. Growth requires you to leave the place where everything is predictable and walk toward unknown territory, where there is risk, where there is the real possibility of failure. And it's exactly that fear of failure that your inner enemy uses as its most powerful weapon against you. Fear isn't the villain. How you react to it is. I need to correct something a lot of people get wrong. Feeling fear is not weakness. Feeling fear is human. Every great athlete feels fear before a decisive competition. Every successful entrepreneur has felt their stomach turn before making a risky decision. Every artist who has ever stepped onto a big stage has felt their heart race backstage. Fear itself is not your enemy. Your enemy is how you choose to react to that fear. There are two paths when fear shows up. The first path is paralysis. You feel the fear, you believe it, you obey it, and you give up before even trying. This is the path 90% of people choose because it seems safer, seems more logical, seems to protect you from future pain. The second path is action, despite fear. You feel the same fear, the same knot in your stomach, the same urge to retreat, but you take the step anyway. You tremble, but you walk. You doubt, but you persist. You cry, but you keep going. The difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who watch them die in a drawer is not the absence of fear. It's the courage to act even while feeling that fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting in spite of it. And every time you choose to act despite the fear, you weaken your inner enemy. Every time you retreat before it, you feed it, you strengthen it, you hand it more power to keep running your life. Excuses are the perfect disguise. Your inner enemy is extremely intelligent. It knows that if it showed up in front of you and clearly said, "I'm going to destroy your dreams today," you would fight back, resist it, reject it immediately. So it doesn't show up that way. It disguises itself as reason. It disguises itself as common sense. It disguises itself as responsibility. It tells you it's not the right time. It tells you you need to study more before trying. It tells you conditions aren't favorable right now. It tells you be realistic, this is too crazy. And the most dangerous part is that these sentences sound so sensible, so mature, that you accept them without question. You build an entire architecture of rational justifications to explain why you haven't started yet, why you haven't tried yet, why you're still waiting. But I need to be honest with you now. Even if this honesty stings, most of the time these excuses are nothing more than fear dressed up in the clothes of logic. It's your inner enemy wearing a well-tailored suit to seem trustworthy. And as long as you keep believing these excuses, you'll keep postponing your own life year after year until one day you look back and realize the time you had to fulfill your dreams has already passed, slipped through your fingers like sand while you waited for the perfect moment that never existed. Comparison. The poison you drink yourself. There's another extremely powerful weapon your inner enemy uses against you. Comparison. You open social media and see someone your age who has already achieved what you dream of achieving. You see the car, the house, the body, the relationship, the trip, the success, and a feeling of inadequacy takes over your chest. You start asking yourself, why haven't I gotten there yet? What's wrong with me? Am I simply not capable? And it's exactly in that moment of fragility that your inner enemy whispers the most destructive words. You're behind. Everyone else is better than you. You'll never get there. It uses other people's lives as a mirror to show you a distorted, cruel image of yourself. But listen closely. You are not competing with anyone but yourself. The person you saw on social media didn't walk your path, didn't carry your pain, didn't face your specific battles. Comparing your journey to someone else's journey is like comparing two different books and complaining that one hasn't reached the other's final chapter yet. Every story has its own pace, its own chapters, its own challenges. The only comparison that has real value is between who you were yesterday and who you're becoming today. You've already won battles you thought were impossible. Now I want you to do an exercise with me. Stop and think of some moment in your life when you faced something that seemed impossible to overcome. It might have been a loss, an illness, a breakup, a bankruptcy, a humiliation, a fresh start from zero. Think about that for a moment. You are here, reading these words right now, which means one very simple and very powerful thing. You have survived 100% of your worst days so far. 100%, not 99. 100. Every storm you faced, you made it through. Every night that seemed endless, it ended and the sun rose again. That's not a coincidence. That's living proof that there is a force within you far greater than your inner enemy wants you to believe exists. The problem is that this force stays quiet most of the time, while the voice of fear shouts louder, while the voice of doubt takes up more space. But it's there. It has always been there. And the time has come for you to stop feeding the voice that diminishes you and start feeding the voice that lifts you up. How you feed your enemy every day. Let's be honest with each other now. Every time you hit snooze instead of getting up to chase your goal, you feed the enemy. Every time you choose the TV show over the book that would teach you something new, you feed the enemy. Every time you speak badly about yourself, calling yourself stupid, a failure, incapable, you are literally nourishing the creature that lives inside you and wants to see you small. Every negative thought you choose to believe is like a meal you serve to that enemy. Every time you give up at the first sign of difficulty, you strengthen it a little more. And the scariest part is that over time, this enemy grows so much that it starts controlling your decisions without you even noticing. It decides which career you'll pursue out of fear of others' judgment. It decides which relationships you'll accept out of fear of loneliness. It decides which dreams you'll bury out of fear of disappointment. But just as you feed your enemy every day without realizing it, you can also start feeding your inner strength every day, consciously and deliberately. And that's what I want to talk about now. The decision that changes everything. There comes a moment in every person's life when they decide to set themselves free. A turning point. An instant when they look in the mirror and say, enough. Enough sabotaging myself. Enough diminishing myself. Enough accepting less than what I'm capable of achieving. Enough letting fear decide for me. That moment doesn't come from outside. No one can make that decision for you. Not me, not your favorite mentor, not the most inspiring book you've ever read. That decision needs to be born inside you, in the exact place where your enemy lives, because it's there, in that same territory, that your strength also lives. It's an internal war, and only you hold the keys to winning it. I want you to understand this with complete clarity. You don't need to eliminate fear. You don't need to eliminate doubt. You don't need to become a flawless person to start taking action. You just need to decide that from today on, the voice that will command your choices will no longer be the one that diminishes you, but the one that drives you forward. Tools to win this inner war. First, start observing your thoughts as a spectator, not as a prisoner. When that voice of defeat shows up, instead of automatically obeying it, ask it, is this true, or is it just fear trying to protect me from something that might never even happen? This simple pause of questioning already strips away much of the power your inner enemy holds over you. Second, swap the question, what if I fail, for the question, what if I succeed? Your mind responds to whatever you ask it. If you only ask about failures, it will only show you failure scenarios. If you start asking about possibilities, it starts searching for paths. Third, act even with fear, even with doubt, even without feeling 100% confident. Confidence doesn't come before action, it's born after. You don't wait to feel brave to act. You act, and courage appears as a consequence of what you did. Fourth, surround yourself with references that strengthen you, not weaken you. Pay attention to the voices you let into your mind, whether through the people around you or the content you consume. You become what you constantly feed yourself. Fifth, celebrate every small victory over that inner enemy. When you get out of bed, even when you want to stay lying down, celebrate. When you say no to an excuse, celebrate. When you take a step, even while trembling with fear, celebrate. Every small victory builds the confidence needed for the next battles. You are not alone in this war. If you've made it this far, I need you to know something. This war you fight within yourself is the same war fought by every human being who has ever dared to dream big. The greatest names in history, the ones you admire, the ones who changed the world with their ideas, their achievements, their work, all of them faced exactly the same inner enemy you're facing now. The difference between them and most people was not the absence of that enemy. It was the refusal to let it win. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to feel unshakable confidence all the time. You just need to take the next step. However small, however uncertain, even while your inner enemy is screaming in your ear that you're not capable. The invitation to your own liberation. I want to end this message with a direct and sincere invitation to you. Starting today, stop outsourcing the blame for your problems. Stop waiting for external circumstances to change before you start acting. Look within yourself and recognize, with courage, where the true enemy that has held you back really lives. Recognizing this is not an act of weakness. It's the most courageous act you can perform, because it's far easier to blame the world out there than to face your own shadows. But it's exactly there, by facing those shadows, that your liberation lives. Because an enemy you cannot see holds absolute power over you. But an enemy you identify, that you name, that you understand, loses much of the strength it once had. You have within you the same capacity for strength, discipline, and courage as anyone you admire. The difference isn't talent, isn't luck, isn't opportunities that fell from the sky. The difference lies in the daily decision to choose the voice that builds instead of the voice that destroys, to choose action over excuses, to choose to keep going even when everything inside you begs you to quit. This war against your inner enemy won't end in a single day. It is fought daily, in small choices, in small moments of decision. But every victory, however small it may seem, brings you closer to becoming the strongest, freest, and most powerful version of yourself. So, starting now, look in the mirror and recognize your greatest enemy lives within you. But your greatest strength lives there too, in that very same place. And the time has come to decide, once and for all, which of the two you will let win. Lift your head, take a deep breath, and take the next step. Because your life, your dreams, your future are waiting for that decision only you can make. The war is internal. The victory will be too.